All right. All right, ready?
Yep.
Sarah, you can hear us? Okay, great. I will call us to order at 7:01. Just so everybody knows, we are live streaming this on YouTube, and it's on MHTV as well. We have our public hearing on school choice this evening, but I cannot open that until 7:05, as stated on the agenda. So I'm actually going to just take a few things out of order and go over to Yasin and allow our student representative to speak first. And so take it away, Yasin. Welcome.
Thank you. Had a busy couple weeks. Team Harmony volunteers, which is like our inclusion club at MHS, completed the seminars for the first year health classes on May 10th and May 11th. Team Harmony students were well received, and it was a great experience for the peer leaders and Ms. Cephalus students in those health classes. Team Harmony students also conducted a hybrid presentation on Monday night, May 16th, sponsored by the Marblehead Racial Justice team. The peer leaders led an identity activity and showed different examples from various presentations they have done around the district. They also conducted a moment of silence for the victims of the hate crime in Buffalo. Juniors had prom May 13th. It was a super fun event. Everyone I talked to said they had a lot of fun. Great night. Sophomores had MCAS May 17th and May 18th. The Latin Club is having a Qdoba fundraiser tonight from 4 to 8 p.m. Tomorrow at 6 is the annual cultural feast at MHS. Super excited for that. Should be great. The freshman class is having a spike ball tournament this Sunday, May 22nd at 5 at MHS. The MVMS and MHS music departments are having the annual Music in the Park strip this Saturday, May 21st. There will be performances in the morning at Westfield State University, and then the afternoon will be spent at Six Flags. The National French Honor Society induction will be this Tuesday at 7 to induct new and current members, and they will also be fundraising for the Haiti Development Institute. The MHS Art Show is running from May 18th to June 3rd at Abbott Library, with a reception on May 23rd at 4. It will feature seniors art as well as selected art from grades 9 through 11. The National Honor Society induction is next Thursday, May 19th. Senior project presentations will be on May 27th, as well as the seniors' last day. We'll miss that. May 31st will be the senior prom at Fenway. On Wednesday 8th, MHS students Celia Sliney and Alexis Earp, as well as the Marblehead Task Force Against Discrimination, will be running the Juneteenth flag raising ceremony. The ceremony, which starts at 4:30, will feature speeches by both MVMS and MHS students. Juniors raised $38,000 from the class auction, and they are selling shirts for Senior Sunrise, which will be on June 6th. And seniors are selling Six Flags tickets for their senior trip and also planning graduation. Girls lacrosse had their senior night tonight. Girls tennis will have their senior night on Monday, and track has NEC's competitions.
There's a lot going on.
That's a lot. Busy time of year.
Yeah.
Thanks for updating us.
Thank you, Yasin. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. My watch says that we've got probably less than a minute before 7:05. Do we want to try to squeeze commendations in quickly? Does anybody have any commendations? All right, Emily?
I would like to commend Sophia Weiner and Bella Takata, two sophomores, who are part of the High School Democrat Club, and they held a rally this past weekend, I think, about a issue that they're very passionate about, and they organized it. They had almost 100 people of all ages there to support them. They had 4 of the state reps candidates there to speak to them, and it was just really impressive what some of our high school students are doing. And so I just thought you deserve a shout out.
Absolutely. You do have some very impressive high school students. Any other commendations this evening? All right, it is officially 7:05, so I will call the hearing on the public hearing on school choice for the 2022 and 2023 school year to order. All right, Dr. Bucky, would you like to give us a presentation, please?
Sure. Last year, we opted not to participate in school choice, and my thinking at that time was we were just returning to in-person instruction. We were still in hybrid cohorts. We weren't sure what the fall was going to hold. We knew that we had a drop in enrollment during COVID, and so what the enrollment would look like in September was not known. We've been full in-person this year, and I met with the leadership team and talked about school choice. And I can say there's consensus around the recommendation that I will make this evening. I think that there have been people in school choice districts on the leadership team where the experience may not have been as positive. So there was good discussion back and forth. And so we talked about entry points that made sense. And so kindergarten, fourth grade, and ninth grade were 3 points of entry. So we're going to, I'm going to recommend that we do school choice, open 3 slots for kindergarten, 2 slots for grade 4, and 5 slots for grade 9.
Okay. So the way that the public hearing works is much like the budget public hearing, where Dr. Bucky gives us his presentation, and then we hear public comment. This is public comment only on the school choice matter. We will have the general public comment is still part of our initial business that we will go to immediately upon closing the public hearing. So if anybody would like to make a public comment regarding the school choice for 2022 and 2023, please use the raise hand function. Much like the standard public comment, it will ask that people keep their comments to 3 minutes and that they state their name and address for the record. After public comment is finished for the hearing, then the school committee will have an opportunity to deliberate on this matter and take a vote. Anybody that would like to make a public comment for school choice? All right, I'm not seeing any hands raised, so I will come to the committee at this point and ask for thoughts. I will make Dr. Bucky's proposed motion so that we can deliberate appropriately and ask for a motion that the Marblehead Public Schools participate in the school choice program for the 2022-2023 school year.
So moved.
Megan moved.
Second.
Emily second. All right. Who would like to kick off discussion? Sarah?
Thank you. I'm very happy to see hear this recommendation. I've been in favor of this for many years now. One, just logistics. So if someone is coming from a district who has free full day kindergarten, since kindergarten is a point we're bringing them in at, how will that be handled with them coming in? Are we legally obligated to provide what their district provides, which would be the free full day kindergarten? Or I don't believe we're allowed to charge them if their district is, I don't believe we're allowed to charge them, but I just want to clarify that.
That's my understanding, that we cannot charge them if they're coming from a district that offers free full day.
Okay.
But when Article 2 passes, there will be no issue with full day kindergarten.
So if it, yes, that's true, David. If it does not, what would the funding mechanism be for this?
Kindergarten.
For if we have, what was the 3?
It was 4 students, right? So that would be like between what, a little north of 16,000.
Yeah. See, Michelle has come on the screen. I'll ditch to her.
Yes, thank you. It is $5,000 per student that we accept, except for kindergartners. If we only have the half-day program as our offering, our free offering, then we will receive $2,500 for each student. If we do pass this override and we offer free full-day kindergarten, then we will receive $5,000 per student. Otherwise, if we only have the half day program, we will eat that $2,500 cost. But really, these are basically available seats within our classrooms. We're not offering up seats that would cost us anything. So it is a revenue situation for us.
Okay, and then excuse me, I know a lot of times kindergarten, just because of our structure and the way we enroll and the way things happen here, we sometimes wind up that last week of August getting a surplus of enrollments. And we have been in a position in years past where we're very close to having to add a classroom, if you will. How would we handle that situation? Because we'll be guaranteeing these spots in June. So just can we talk, can I hear a little bit about how we would handle that situation?
Yeah, kindergarten enrollment is always a wild card in any district that I've been in. And you're right, Sarah, that it's often later enrollment in Marblehead than we've seen in other districts. We will certainly guarantee the 3 seats by school choice and then have to determine if we need to add a section if there's a boon in enrollment in late August.
Thank you very much. And in your memo, you talked about there would need to be some changes in the transportation policy. How can you just review a little bit how the transportation of school choice students work for anybody who might not be aware of that?
Yeah, we don't, school choice, we're not obligated to provide transportation unless it's an IEP service. And our policy doesn't address that. I reached out to Ben Lummis in Gloucester, who has been doing school choice for a number of years, and they sent their policy, and there are several areas that are outlined in policy in that district that we don't have. So I do think that we should look at JFBB and do some policy updates if we're opting into school choice.
Michelle, can I ask you a clarifying question? So just sort of within Sarah's question and then your response with the half-day kindergarten. So if we have 3 kindergarten spots and we only offer our free option is the kindergarten, or is the half-day, I'm sorry. But my understanding will be basically required to give these 3 students, if they're coming from districts that offer full day free, will be required to give the 3 students full day, but only be receiving half of what the reimbursement is.
I believe so, yes.
Okay, thanks. I just need to clarify that.
But either way, it's not costing us anything. So I think it's a win-win situation. Hopefully the override does pass and we offer free full day kindergarten to all.
Go ahead, David.
So I had the opportunity to have a really good conversation with Dr. Bucky about this and get a few questions answered. Thank you, Dr. Bucky. And I think just based on the nature of the questions that we're already talking about this evening, and we're just starting with kindergarten, I'm not for or against it at this point. I think school choice, going back, Dr. Bucky had done his homework and was 2011, Dr. Bucky?
2010.
2010 was the last time this district has had school choice. So in the prior 6 years that we've had school choice, it's been a public hearing and there's been absolutely no discussion. There was never a recommendation of it. And so nobody even took the time to research it and study it. There just was no discussion, and the recommendation of the previous administrations and the school committee supported it. So I think that going into this, while we do have opportunities, I think partially due to declining enrollment, we're not peaking with enrollment, although kindergarten is an unknown. We're not peaking in enrollment in various areas. We're seeing some declining enrollment. And I do agree. I heard Michelle say that it is a revenue opportunity. And in one point in time, the district was getting over $500,000 and had 100 school choice kids coming into the district. But I think it might be, my recommendation is at this point is that we haven't had a chance to talk about it prior to tonight. We haven't had it on our agenda prior to tonight. And much like we've done with a lot of different topics, you know, that we've addressed, that we could put together a group of people and representatives and just review school choice, and talk about the pluses and the minuses. I mean, the FAQ page alone, when I was doing some of my homework, the Department of Education has an FAQ page that's very informative, but it's like 17 pages long, and you know, we could be here for 2 hours just sort of self-educating ourselves, or at least I'm not assuming that you don't know the answers, but like what happens with students that have been expelled from other schools? What happens with students that have a discipline record? I think the other thing that's recommended is we need to update our policy on siblings, because there's policies related to siblings, and if the program continues in preferential treatment for siblings. And I mean, there's a lot to this program, besides the fact that I think this is a very modest proposal to put our toes back in the water. He talked with the administrators, and we're looking at those entry points of kindergarten, 4th grade, and 9th grade. And it's 10 students. And why not try it and let's just go for it and try it. But I don't think this committee, or, you know, I respect Dr. Bucky's recommendation at this point, but I don't think we've ever sort of just gone into something half-heartedly. So my just general thought is, you know, we can obviously continue. I want to hear what everybody else has to say about it, and thoughts and things, but I think we might have an opportunity going forward to look at it. And I agree, you know, 3 years ago, we had an interim superintendent. Then the last 2 years, we were in the throes of COVID. So COVID certainly wasn't a time to bring in school choice and even facilitate a discussion. So maybe next year is the time to be able to do that.
Really, Chair?
Yeah, Dr. Bucky?
We do need to inform the state if we're opting out of school choice by June 1st.
Yes.
So,
And that, good point. That's the other deadline that we're up against here, that as an example, we're going to talk about the policy tonight for graduation requirements. And we have this another internal policy that says we need to read it 3 times before we can approve it. But and that's just, you know, that's a policy. And even with this, we don't even have the opportunity to call. I mean, I guess we could call a meeting next week and meet again about it, but we don't even have another opportunity to maybe reiterate it or give the public an opportunity who might have missed that there was a public hearing. So I'll stop with that.
Okay. Let's see, Sarah, hold on a second. I'm just going to go through the others, and then I'll come back to you. Megan?
Yeah, I guess my head's at the same place that David's is. I mean, I said at the retreat that I thought when we're making, you know, when we're about to take votes, that we give ourselves the time to have the conversation, to make sure that we really have the opportunity to ask all the questions, and not make, you know, kind of quick judgments on these things, because I don't think that is in the best interest of the district. And I think that's kind of where we're at here. This is the only time we're going to have to even talk about it before our deadline is. And it hasn't been mentioned as a priority through any of the planning that we did through Planning for Success. And that was an effort that we undertook with leadership team, teachers, community members, students, school committee members, and it wasn't identified as a priority. So like David, I'm not saying I'm for or against it. I'm just saying we have come up with our strategic plan, and we've identified the priorities through a very comprehensive approach. And this wasn't identified as a priority. So and we don't have the time to really do the due diligence that we should be doing. If this was a priority, then we would have been talking about it before, you know, the deadline is fast approaching. So I think, you know, like David, if this is something that we want to evaluate and really think about what the implication is to the district and what our plan is and our objectives, so that we can, if we do decide to implement it after that, we know how we're going to assess it and if it's successful or not, so that we can continue to make this decision, because we do have to talk about it every year. Then we should do it in a thoughtful way, just like we've done everything else. And that's kind of, you know, what we talked about doing at the retreat as well. one thing that we did mention as a priority was increasing our METCO program. And that has been identified as a priority from the community and from our district. So if we're looking to kind of increase our student population, because of the declining enrollment, that was identified as a priority. So that, in my mind, is where we should be focusing our efforts and our resources. But again, not for or against it at this point. I just think we haven't done the due diligence that we need to.
Yeah, so thank you, David, because I feel very like the same way. Like there hasn't been enough thought behind this because it's a big deal, I think, to something that hasn't been in place for 12 years that we're all of a sudden deciding to do without a policy. Because I came from a district growing up that everyone school choice out. So, or not everyone, sorry, a lot of people. And so a lot of people tried to school choice out to various districts in this area. So I think we have to go and look at their policies and see what they say and how they go about it, because like Rockport's an example, and in their policy, it says the resident students are given priority placement over school choice students. But if that's something we're going to do, I think there needs to be a big discussion about that. I mean, not everyone's going to agree with that. So we really need to like look and see how other districts are implementing this program before we say, okay, we're going to do it. What if next year we decide not to do it? I think we just need some time to answer all the questions and figure it out. But that's my opinion.
Sarah?
Okay. So we, by Mass General Law, do have to make this decision. And I actually was fully prepared to make this decision every year in May. Usually it's this exact meeting, the second one in May, we have a hearing on school choice. It's the way it's always been. So this isn't a new topic or an unexpected topic. Last year when we had this, at the time, people were not prepared then. And a lot of people did speak to the fact that they saw school choice as a way to bring in some diversity into our town, not just racial diversity or not just one line or another, but, the whole gamut of what, of everything that is diversity, whether it's socioeconomic, racial, religious, just diversity in the true embodiment of what diversity is. I think the more we cast, the wider net we cast beyond our own scope here in Marblehead, the more we see people from different walks of life. So I do like that idea. I'm fully prepared to vote on this. I don't see this as a new topic, like something we didn't know was coming down the pike. It's something we all should be well versed on pretty much. I mean, we voted every single year. So it's a topic that comes up every year that we should know about. And again, according to Mass General Law, we knew that we had to make this decision in the next week. So it's not as if we didn't know it was happening. We posted a public hearing on it. So I'm perfectly happy to vote for it. Actually, I think we have to vote for it. There's a motion on the table, but and I'm in favor of Dr. Bucky's recommendation.
Thank you, Sarah.
I just want to clarify a few points. We did have the public hearing last year, obviously, and there were public comment on both sides of the equation. There was no, like overwhelming support either way. And I agree, Sarah. Yes, we did know this was coming. Absolutely. But as we've already talked about here, we've identified a number of gray areas that we have to, like I said, and I think David and Emily said as well, evaluate what the implication is. And while we knew this vote was coming, we haven't done that evaluation because it isn't identified as a priority for this district. So again, not necessarily for or against it. We need to do that work. And yes, we knew it was coming, but any one of us could have put it on the agenda to have that discussion, and we haven't done it. And again, I haven't done it because it hasn't been identified as a priority.
Okay. I've been quiet because I really don't know how I feel about this. I came in with the intention to listen tonight because I really, I can see both sides. I think both sides that have been made, that both sides of the argument that have been made tonight are good, and I was hoping that it would be very clear at this point, but for myself, it's not. But I think we've all said what we need to say. So I will call for a roll call vote. I guess Sarah Gold, yes. David Harris. So the motion on the table is to participate. Yes.
Right. So, no.
Megan Taylor. Emily Barron.
No.
And Sarah Fox.
Yes.
So that fails 2-3. Yeah, you can make a comment.
I just want to make a comment, kind of going off what Megan said. I don't think it's fair to say that we are coming to this meeting unprepared about school choice.
Yeah.
But I have been advocating for more METCO students to come into this district all year. And so that's where my focus has been. I haven't had a chance to maybe focus on school choice because I didn't know, like Megan said, it was a priority or something that we were thinking about. So I just want to say that I know what school choice is. I have studied it all week. I've asked all my questions to John, and I just want to make that clear that I want those spots. I would prefer them to be filled with METCO students because that's something that we feel in this district is very important, and we should cap that before we on to another initiative. So that's just clarify that.
Okay, thank you. Well, and I think, obviously this this administration has identified this as a priority that they would like to move forward. So I think all the things that have been mentioned here tonight would be valuable to start work on. And as David mentioned, we need multiple readings on policy and everything, so we can set to work on some of those building blocks for a solid school choice program. So that next year at this time, if it's still the same recommendation, we can feel more confident.
Right.
Whoever is on the committee at that point can feel more confident moving forward on it.
Sure. I think we probably procedurally should take a vote to opt out or not participate.
Okay.
I'm not sure that the motion
Okay.
to not participate is.
Sure, we can do
The vote.
that.
That makes
No.
sense.
Yes,
Is that a
that
double
does.
negative now?
Yeah, that makes sense. So I will ask for a motion for the Marblehead Public Schools to opt out of the school choice program for the 2022-2023 school year.
So moved.
David moved. Second. Megan second.
Discussion.
David, you wanted to say something?
Right. And so there's another layer to this onion that, once again, thank you, Emily, for the homework that I did when I knew we were going to be on this. And the 7 years prior, I'm certainly not ignorant to what school choice is, but I think as a committee, it's also up to us to educate the public and allow people to come and ask questions. And we had no one here tonight. That being said, I think it's very positive that this district has a provision within our contractual agreements with teachers that they are allowed to, their children are allowed to attend Marblehead schools. Is that not the case? And I know several people whose children do. So don't have the exact numbers, but if you take order of magnitude, 350 to 400 staff members, therein lies an opportunity for enrichment for teachers who, they don't all live outside of Marblehead, but I think it's great because that's not a requirement that districts have that in their contracts. But that was within one of the FAQs that even though we don't participate in school choice, we've opted to allow children of teachers to attend tuition free. They don't even pay, or the district doesn't pay. So I think I appreciate that that's in the contracts. And so that's an opportunity for us to gain some children and some, another perspective of, even though we don't have school choice. And then METCO is the next opportunity where we have the opportunity to get additional students into our district. say that.
All right. We've got the opt-out motion on the floor, so I will take a roll call vote on that. Sarah Gold, no. David Harris,
Yes.
Megan Taylor, yes. Emily Barron,
Right? Yes.
and Sarah Fox.
No.
So that motion passes 3-2 to opt out. All right, so I will officially close the public hearing on school choice at 7:31 p.m. All right, thank you, everyone. So that moves us, we've hit some of our other pieces at the beginning of the meeting. That moves us to public comment. So this is the general public comment portion of the meeting. If anybody would like to raise their hand and make a public comment about anything that has been discussed or anything that is going on in the district, they may do so at this point. Again, I'll ask that people keep their comments to 3 minutes and that they state their name and address for the record. All right, I don't see any hands. So I will move us on to our consent agenda items with minutes. Can I ask for a motion to approve the minutes from 3/3/2022, 3/17/2022, 3/31/2022, and 4/7/2022?
So
Megan moved,
Second.
David second. Anything with those minutes to add or concerns?
Just like to commend Lisa for helping us push along and stay current.
Absolutely.
And thank you very much, Lisa, for getting those out there.
it's a lot of work. Thank
It
you.
is.
A lot of work. Yes. Sarah, you had something?
There's a couple corrections. The meeting minutes that reflect when we talked about who would be in the Brown principal search and the other search committees state that Megan appointed Sarah Gold to be on Brown as well as on the food service director, but I was put on food service director.
Gotcha. All right. So Lisa will fix that. Okay. Perfect. All right. All right. That's it. So roll call vote. Sarah Gold, yes. David Harris,
Yes.
Megan Taylor,
Yes.
Emily Barron,
Yes.
and Sarah Fox.
Yes.
Okay, that was passed 5-0. All right. That moves us along to our superintendent's report. John, I know I've kind of arranged the first half of your superintendent's report this evening. So is it okay if I
Yes.
just continue forward? All right. So we've got three students, two separate subjects. Well, first up, we have a senior project update. A few weeks ago, I believe it was Dan had laid out a few pieces of information about senior project, and there were some questions, and I had mentioned that I had been contacted by a couple of seniors who are working on a mental health project, and so they are here with us this evening. Welcome, Mia Carr and Lauren Case. I will hand this over to you. I think you were sending me a few texts, but I did not check my texts. So do you want me to share your project or do you want me to allow you to share?
Yeah, can you share it for us?
Want me to do that now?
Yeah. Sure, thank you.
Let me make sure I've got it up. Okay, there you go. So welcome.
Thank you. All right, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. Well, okay. All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Lauren Case.
I'm Mia Carr.
And for our senior project, we're working with the Mass General Hospital to fundraise and spread awareness for teen mental health disorders.
Part of our senior, mental health illness are continuing to increase with 20% of teenagers experiencing disorders and only 30% of them receiving proper treatment. The COVID-19 pandemic has worsened the symptoms of mental health disorders drastically, especially in young adults.
So for part of our senior project, it's including a pamphlet of information on teen mental health. And we have the statistics right here. And on the other page, we have coping mechanisms that we have researched and also used on our own time. On top of that, we've provided resources that students can reach out to if they are in need of any help. Some of these counseling services do have a wait list, like from the ones that we have contacted, but mainly only 1 to 2 months, which is rare because some don't even have a wait list at all, and some can be up to like a year long. But Mia and I are also still trying to find counseling services that are closer to Marblehead, because we have some, but they're mainly in like the North Shore area, closer to like Lawrence and like Lowell, around there. Because we've been provided with we received a list from someone of available services, but we're trying to research some more right now. But here's what we have so far. And we also have like our goal included. And we're also, we will be sending these out to different schools on top of Marble High School. And we have reached out to like Swampscott, Salem, stuff like that. So we'll be sending those out soon when we're done.
And for the second part of our senior project, we're working with Mass General to fundraise for their Child Cognitive Behavioral Therapy program, which provides therapy to children, adolescents, and young adults with a range of emotional and behavioral problems. And so we have set up a fundraising page in direct contact with Mass General to collect the funds. It's linked on my Facebook page, which is mia.car.921. And the page is directly connected with Mass General, so all the donations go immediately to their Child Cognitive Behavioral Therapy program. And we are also hosting a car wash in front of the Marblehead High School this Sunday, May 22nd from 12 to 2 to collect donations. And the car wash is $10 and all proceeds go to the cost.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much. Yes, I have been waiting for a car wash at the high school. So this is perfect.
And it'll be 93 degrees.
It will, yes.
So a great day to be out for a car wash.
Yes, thank you, ladies. Does anybody have any questions for them or comments? I'll speak a little bit. I had met with Mia a couple weeks ago as they were working on this, and I owe her some email addresses for additional schools to send out to. But I think obviously this is a cause that's immediate and with an immediate need. And they're absolutely right that it is incredibly difficult to find access. Even it doesn't matter insurance or wealth or lack thereof. There are very few openings right now, whether it's in larger agencies or individual private practices. So, everything that they've said and they're bringing awareness to is correct. And, I applaud them for digging in and tackling this topic and trying to raise awareness and raise money for the CBT over at Mass General.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, I think the stats are staggering.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think it's important for all of us as adults to understand what that looks like for our youth. And also to maybe just talking about it helps reduce some of that stigma, right? So thank you for bringing this to us and for doing the work and also working with Mass General to help them fundraise because it's a very important cause. And we'll definitely be there with our cars to support you on Sunday.
Thank you guys.
Thank you. And thank you for coming.
Can I just say something?
Yeah, sure.
I think this is such a creative idea because I love these pamphlets, because you're just sitting there and you open them up. And I love that it's, student driven so that when children or kids, teenagers open them, it's not adults telling them information. It's other students giving them advice, which I think is good coming from your peers. Can you give them to doctors' offices, or I'm just thinking of other places where you could spread these around? Because they're always in the doctor's office in the waiting room, like in those little holders.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, so great work.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us this evening. I know they're both at work, so I appreciate you guys taking the time out and joining us to talk with us.
Of course. Have a great night. Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right. So next up, I will just continue.
Next up on my update.
Dr. Bucky's update. We had Tyler Earp come and present to us probably a couple of months ago at this point about his Eagle Scout project of building the greenhouse and the raised garden beds at the high school. And so Tyler has been hard at work. When Sarah Fox and Dr. Bucky and I met with the chamber before town meeting, Tyler was there talking with the chamber about his project. I saw him out at an event in the National Grand parking lot last weekend. So he has been very busy. And Tyler, do you have anything that you want to share your screen for, or are you just chatting with us tonight?
Yeah, I have a slideshow that I would like to share.
I will allow you to do that and then turn it over to you. Okay, you should be good to go.
All right.
Welcome back.
So hello. So my name's Tyler Arp. Thank you guys for having me here tonight. So I'll be giving you guys an update on my Eagle project, which is building kind of a greenhouse and improving the outdoor classroom area of the high school. So tonight I'll kind of talk about four main things: fundraising, site conservation, the site preparation and the raised beds, and also the greenhouse installation. So the fundraising, my goal is about $75,000. I started kind of widespread fundraising early April. So far I'm at about 25,000 from 3 different sources. So 10,000 from a generous grant from the Friends of Marblehead Public Schools. So thank you to them. Individual donations through my website and kind of just in-person fundraising, about another 10,000. And then I have about a little less than $5,000 in business sponsorships from local businesses. So thank you to everyone who's donated, all the businesses. Thank you. So the site conservation, this will be taking place over this summer. I'll be working with the Marblehead Conservancy. So it'll be kind of removing weeds and invasives, and we'll plant kind of back with native plants and grass. So the site preparation and the new raised beds, this will take kind of August, early fall timeframe. So this will be taking the old raised beds that are currently there out and replacing them with new raised beds kind of a little bit closer to the building, but still out in kind of the same area. And also pouring the foundation for the greenhouse. In the new raised beds, I'll be working with some tree companies such as Kelly Tree to hopefully provide some black locust for lumber to kind of remove some cost. So the greenhouse has a 6-month lead time. So currently, if we were to purchase it now, that would mean kind of late November, which is a little risky, just from temperature, weather. So kind of, it'll be best to push the installation of the greenhouse until April. And that'll also give some time to kind of more map it out with teachers and kind of how exactly it's going to be used to its full potential. So it's kind of a bit more scheduled. And currently I'm kind of working on finding some general contractors to help oversee the installation so it's safe and effective. So thank you all very much. If you would like more information on my project, you can visit my website, which will be mhsgreenhouse.org. You can also donate through the site. And then if you want to see kind of current updates on the project or any really news, you can follow my social media accounts. Does anybody have any questions?
Wonderful update. And I saw that, I think in Principal Bauer's weekly update, there was an update from Tyler. And so I was searching you out on the social media pieces and following along with the greenhouse the other day. So I'm all set to keep tabs on what's going on with it. It's great. I'm glad that you're doing that to kind of keep people current.
Tyler, can you tell us that webpage one more time?
mhsgreenhouse.org.
Perfect.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
Moving right along. This is great. Thanks for the update, Tyler.
Your fundraising is impressive in such a short amount of time. So I hope that it continues to go as well or even better.
Very much.
Yes. And if you'd ever like to come back and update us as things are ongoing, feel free. We're always happy to have you.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler.
Thank you.
All right, Dr. Bucky, I will now turn the meeting to you and your reports.
I just want to give a commendation to Tyler. That was a great update.
Mhm.
That was, he's made some tremendous progress. And
Yeah.
so just thinking back to my own Eagle Scout project, I think it was like $500 in total. And the NOAA project is now coming in at 75,000. So what an ambitious undertaking.
Yeah.
And it will significantly benefit the high school. So great job. I think the first thing on the superintendent update, early dismissal for last day of school, is kind of a perfunctory thing that happens. It's always on the calendar as a full day, but then you guys officially recognize that the last day of school for students, which is June 23rd, that there's been some debate. It's June 23rd for students, June 24th for staff, but that would be a half day. And I don't know if you guys vote on that or it's just recognized as such.
So I think previously we've not voted. I think it's just sort of been this piece, but I know the past couple of years it's come up as a question, kind of new leadership and everything. And so I think, in talking to you and in talking to Lisa, who kind of manages all this behind the scenes, I think it would be helpful if we would take a vote on that to just kind of memorialize it. Yep. So I will ask for a motion to memorialize the last day of school being a noon release.
So moved.
Megan moved.
Second.
Emily second. Any questions for Dr. Bucky on that?
Should we just include in this that next year's is also a half day for planning purposes?
Yeah, so in the motion, I said to memorialize that the last day of school will be a noon release, so that kind of moving forward, we know that it will be a noon release until some school committee in the future decides it won't be. So. Okay. All right. Roll call vote. Sarah Gold, yes. David Harris.
Yes.
Megan Taylor.
Who are you?
Yes.
Yes.
Emily Barron.
Yes.
And Sarah Fox.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Dr. Bucky, back to you.
Yep. Then the next piece is I put in the shared drive this week, and by I put in, Lisa put in the shared drive this week, some evaluation documents. I completed the rubric that rates each of the indicators for each of the 4 standards. I then created a separate PowerPoint presentation on my goals. And then just as I did last year, kind of a year in review of some of the accomplishments through photos. So those 3 documents are there. And then I think the next step goes to school committee to take my self-assessment and to meet the June 2nd. I think is the next deadline that you guys have established.
Yep. So hopefully everybody realized that within this week's folder in the drive was an additional folder that was about the superintendent evaluation. So in it are the documents or files that Dr. Bucky just mentioned. And I know Lisa and I were working this morning to pull throughout the year, and we had talked about this way back last fall, that as Dr. Bucky gave memos and district update memos, that he noted which goal that he was addressing within that. So we went back and pulled them. They're not quite done. Okay, so they're not quite done. They're almost done. We have them all, but they're not totally put into a cohesive document. So Lisa will have those put into that folder tomorrow, or maybe Monday at the latest. All this is Monday at the latest. And then what we're also working on is one of the pieces last year that kind of just made the process cumbersome was that the rubric tool that is provided on DESE, I don't know, I can't remember what computer file it uses, but we ended up, some of us used Word, some of us used Google Docs, and when you use Google Docs, it reformatted the thing, and it was really difficult for when the compilation came time to be made. So Lisa and Stephen have been working on an editable Word document that will go in there, or Lisa will email it to us by Monday. And so I will ask that for the ease of of Emily and Lisa as they compile all of this and make it look nice, that everybody uses that editable Word doc, and that if it's not compatible with the Word that you have on your computer, or you don't have Word on your computer, that you just reach out to Lisa and they'll set whichever one of us that needs that up with a laptop to be able to have those files and use that device while we do the evaluation. So like Dr. Bucky mentioned, we're on a tighter time frame that we did last year. It's been a busy spring. So our individual evaluations are due to Lisa and Emily by our next meeting, which is 2 weeks from tonight on June 2nd. And then Lisa and Emily will set to work compiling those and coming up with the summative eval that will be presented on the June 16th, right? Meeting that we have. So.
Question.
Yes.
So it has to be compiled before the meeting, so everyone can see it.
Correct.
So what is the latest?
So
it should be dropped in just for my own.
Probably like 48 hours beforehand.
Okay.
So the Tuesday, so that would be the 14th.
Okay, so that's,
yeah. And if people finish them, I guess, the compilations really can't take place until all of us have them in. But if people finish them, they can send before the 2nd, they can send them in. And if we're all in before the 2nd, then, I doubt that'll happen, but yeah, but it might.
then we can start reviewing them.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
As soon as they're done, send them.
Yeah. Yep. Sarah?
When Steven's done with that document, can he email it to us rather than just dropping it in the Dropbox? Because sometimes when you open, at least sometimes when I open something from the Dropbox, even if it's a Word file, it kind of opens into that Google format. So I want to make sure I can download it and use it as he intends.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we definitely just email that document to all of us. And I agree. I understand what you're saying. All right. I think that's it on that. So that will, Dr. Woody, did you have anything else that you want to mention? Okay, thank you. And so that leads us on to the financial and organizational support. So we had a schedule of bills in our folder. So I will ask for a motion to approve the identified schedule of bill totaling $1,294,094.64. Megan moved. Emily second. Any questions for Michelle on that? Okay. I will call for a roll call vote. Sarah Gold, yes. David Harris.
Yes.
Megan Taylor. Yes. Emily Barron.
Yes.
And Sarah Fox.
Yes.
All right, that passes 5-0. Thank you, everyone. All right, so that moves us to school committee items. First up on the agenda is a payroll grievance update. So we'd obviously met in executive session a few months ago regarding a payroll grievance that the Marblehead Educators Association had filed. So the next steps was to meet with the town administrator. So that happened finally. I think there's been some back and forth. That meeting finally happened. I believe it was last week. And the town administrator did not see any unreasonableness in the request. They were talking a little bit about just kind of checking numbers and everything to make sure that everything matches the people who are still in district versus people who may have left for other positions. But that they are continuing to work on the concerns and address them as MEA wishes. Yeah. It's a positive update on that.
So nothing that we need to.
Nope,
take action.
we don't need to. Yep, I just wanted to update the committee on how that's going. Yeah. All right. Next up then, as mentioned 2 weeks ago in our meeting, in the correspondence section, we had received an email from the town moderator asking that Mark Stroud could be renamed for a 3-year town as Marblehead's representative for the board school committee of the Essex North Agricultural and Technical School. So I will ask for that motion. So ask for a motion that the Marblehead School Committee approve and the appointment of Mark Stroud of Marblehead for a new 3-year term as the town's representative as a member of the board of Essex North Agricultural and Technical School District. Megan moved.
Second.
David second. any questions? I'm not totally sure.
I'd just like to give a shout out. I mean, hearing his presentation, and I apologize. What's the program called, Dan, for half day?
Oh, After Dark.
The after dark opportunities and the things that are happening. I happen to know someone who has a student that's been engaged in it. It's just another opportunity for, you know, people to expand their horizons. And I think he's done an excellent job representing the town as well. You know, we heard of how well they've done managing their finances over there at that beautiful new facility. And I'm happy to have him serve another 3-year term representing Marblehead. And I think he's the chair.
I said,
He's
yeah,
also-
he was,
yeah.
he's been the chair for
Chair.
quite some time.
Yep, it's great.
Yeah, so, yeah, it's always fun to listen to the update at town meeting.
Yes.
All right, we will call for a roll call vote. Sarah Gold, yes. David Harris,
Yes.
Megan Taylor, Emily Barron,
Yes.
and Sarah Fox.
Yes.
Great, thank you, everyone. The motion passes 5-0. So next up is a review of policy IKF, which is the graduation requirements. As we've been working to kind of clean up any last kind of loose strands on the I policies. This one we discussed at the last meeting that we had, and we had Principal Bauer in with us, and there were just a few little tweaks and cleanups that needed to be made. So there was 2. I think the original policy, or the current policy, is in our Dropbox or in our folder this evening, and then I had added in one that had redlined and red letters. So I believe, so it's the mathematics, 4 years of mathematics, including the completion of Algebra 2, and the current policy says, or an integrated math equivalent. We no longer offer that integrated math equivalent, so Dan asked that be taken out, so it's just the completion of Algebra 2. And then 4 years of a lab-based science, which includes biology, chemistry, and physics. Dan asked that physics/engineering be added, so the word engineering, because there's an engineering class that that counts as credit for the science requirement. And then a little bit further down, 2 years, it currently reads 2 years of a foreign language, and it actually needs to be 2 years of the same foreign language. So just a few little cleanups and clarifiers. So our first read would have been in the policy meeting. This is our second read, and then it'll come back at our June 2nd meeting and for a vote. But if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to field any questions on this. Sarah?
So where this kind of pertains to the or equivalent, where we do have some students that take dual enrollment classes. Sorry, my mind's kind of foggy right now. Dual enrollment classes, would they qualify as or the equivalent if they are the equivalent or higher than the requirement?
The Principal Bauer in the audience.
Yes.
Yes.
As long as they meet that requirement baseline.
Yes, as long as they meet that requirement. Yep.
Physics and engineering are same class. Should I say physics or engineering?
Dan, would you like to say physics or engineering? Because in my notes, I had it as physics/engineering. /or. Okay, so I will make that change. And so instead of physics/engineering, I'll add in or. It is. That's the work of policy.
The most important.
Yep. All right, any other questions or concerns? Okay, then I will make those changes, and it'll be in your next folder, and hopefully we'll be able to vote on it at that point. Thank you for the guidance, Dan. Glad you're here. All right, next up is subcommittee and liaison updates. Does anybody have anything? I think Emily and I are in the process of scheduling one more policy meeting for the year. Probably going to happen in June at this point.
Just the cultural feast tomorrow night, 6 outside.
No, it's such a great event. I'm excited.
What's the format? Is it similar to last year?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Good.
I heard
Food trucks and performances and
Awesome.
Food trucks and performances.
Yeah.
I mean, what kind of a better night can you get? Especially it's supposed to be a beautiful day tomorrow. So
Sure.
stuff coming in from Boston. I think there's a Dominican food truck. I think there's a Jamaican food truck. So
well, the couple, I think they had at least 2 last year, and they were phenomenal. So yeah, and they've been saying it's going to be better this year. So I can't wait to see.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it.
Yep. Any other updates? All right, sounds good. Any new business this evening? All right, I did drop a few or two pieces of correspondence into the folder. The first one, and we all received these, but I just thought they were sort of important to sort of enter into the record officially. So one was the email that we had gotten from a woman who was interested in the stained glass windows at the Coffin School. So I did reply to her, and I said, I sort of laid out the process for that school and where we were at with it, saying that, we're looking at our properties at this point, but that it does remain under school control, and we don't know what we're doing with that building. So we really can't make decisions on anything, any kind of pieces of that building. And then I laid out the if we do decide to turn it over, it does have to go to the town. I did talk with Dr. Bucky a little bit on it. And then I also reached out to Jackie Beltbecker, the Board of Selectmen, and sort of asked if I was missing anything or, could add any additional information. And, there was really not much to add, just kind of that it would go through a process after, if we decide to turn it over to the town. So, and, I asked the person who wrote it, to reach out periodically just to see and to kind of keep tabs on it. And that if I heard anything and remembered to email her, I certainly would. So the other one then was, I thought it was just a really great paper that a student at UMass Amherst had sent to us, and he is an MHS graduate, and wrote us or sent to us a paper for a class that I believe it was some type of official persuasive paper, but it was really nicely done. It was on why schools still use out of school suspension policies. And, Dr. Bucky knows that I've been kind of pulling his ear on disciplinary procedures for a while and looking sort of outside of the boxes. So I had a nice little correspondence with Danny over that, and just sort of, thanked him for sending that to us. And that, I in the end, I really wanted it in because it was I thought it was a really nicely done paper by an MHS graduate, and, just sort of to put it in the light.
Yeah, on an important topic.
Yeah, on an important topic.
Yeah. I think if the student is coming to us saying what we're doing should be looked at, I think we have to take that really seriously and start thinking about what this does to our kids. I mean, there's so much great information in this essay.
A very short.
Yeah. And I was like, yes. So I think we should think about it.
Absolutely.
I'd like to recognize the good work done by Danny from the outstanding class of 2019. My son was a member of and a classmate of Danny's for all those years, and Cub Scouts and everything else that they do as students. It was nice to see that come full circle and have Danny send that back to us.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Danny.
Chatted back and forth with him a little bit. It sounds like he's sort of, it was an education class, but I think he's sort of psychology and maybe communications is sort of what I was picking up from where he's headed in life. So yeah, just another example of the great students that are in this district.
Yeah, and I hope also, Dan, for you, that that's a testament to the work you do here too. So, we've got great students that leave MHS and do some really important work for us. So that says a lot for your leadership team.
Absolutely. All right. So that brings us to the executive session portion of our meeting. So for executive session, just for the public who is with us right now, executive session, we meet in private. There are only certain reasons, and I will ask for the motion to be able to meet in those for a minute. So I will ask that, now or after the motion is read, that everyone starts to leave the meeting. Otherwise, we will start to put people into the waiting room at a certain point. We appreciate that you joined us this evening, and we will meet again in 2 weeks. So I will ask for a motion and vote to meet in executive session pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, for the following purpose. Purpose 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with Marblehead Education Association, MEA Unit A members, if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the school committee and the chair so declares.
So moved.
Megan moved.
Second.
Emily second. All right, roll call vote. Sarah Gold, yes. David Harris.
Yes. Go ahead. Yes.
Megan Taylor.
Yes.
Emily Barron. And Sarah Fox.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
I think you should indicate that there's no intent.
I
to
will
return.
now
That's-
read that
Good.
we're entering
Perfect.
into.
Perfect.
So
That's what I
I figured
asked.
that was the issue. So that motion passes 5-0. So we will now move the meeting into executive session pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, for purpose 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with the Marblehead Education Association, MEA, specifically Unit A members regarding sick days, with no intent to return to public session. That means that we will adjourn within our executive session. So if everybody who is not the committee and those asked to join the executive session for the reasons that we're discussing could exit the meeting, that would be wonderful.
This one went to be.
Yes.
So we're going to move to another.
Okay, that's right.
Yep.
I had a feeling I'd do that. Okay, great. We'll move right in there or we can go down.
No,
Okay,
okay,
down
yeah.
here.
Because he's in there. Yeah, thank you. Yep.
David, are you
Sarah, do you need me to log off and then log back on?
Zoom? Here, I'll turn my video on if that helps you. But we're going to move to another room in the library so that Stephen and MHTV can clean up. So Stephen, I'm going
So just in case anybody couldn't hear me, can you hear me, Sarah, at this point? Okay, just in case anybody couldn't hear me, we're moving to a different room so that cleanup can take place. So we'll be right back. Okay, you can turn yours on. All right. Just looking at who we've got in our weight room. And I know Christina is here with us. So
is Michelle supposed to be here?
Go ahead and get moving along. So hopefully everyone's going to be able to hear. I didn't think to bring my little microphone thing tonight, and we don't have our headphones, so everything go backwards here.
Sarah, it still says
I don't know that it
live
matters
on
that you're in because
Sarah, it still says
so we will do our best. We'll
Sarah, can you hear us?
I don't think she can.
You can't hear us. We're live on YouTube still.
Oh, you can't hear me?
No, we can hear you. You
okay.
Not hear us.
Okay, yeah, now I can. Now I turn my sound on so I can hear you.
You're on